Good morning, this is Mr. Morales. I'm going to explain the quiz we just had on linear applications. So number one, it talks about a personal trainer, and it tells us that what a trainer charges at a local gym for 1 hour training sessions for 1 to 4 people. Now what we're asked to do is find the equation that best represents the relationship between N, the number of people, and C, the cost. So C is the answer we're getting. That means we have to plug the letter N into our equation. Well, looking at our examples right now, choice A has C in the equation, and that's the answer. So we can take that out, and now we have a 1 out of 3 chance. Selection B says 20 times whatever N is. Well, yes, 1 times 20 is 20. That's great, but 2 times 20 would be 40 and not 24. So that's out as a choice. Now I'll try the next selection. 4 times N. 4 times 1 plus 16 is 20, so that works. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 16 is 24. That works also. 4 times 3, 12 plus 16 is 28. And it does continue the pattern and it does work. So choice C was the correct choice there. If I've been giving you a solution that was too big. Now, for number 2. Here we're asked to find which of these scenarios here, F, G, H, or J, is best represented by this equation, y equals 50 plus 0.15x. Now, I've noticed that, first of all, when you have the slope or whatever number is next to your variable, that's always, the key word is like per and each. So we have 0.15 per song right here for choice F, and we have 0.15 per minute used here. So those are possible solutions. 15% can be a decimal. However, this says of all sales over 50. That would imply some subtraction going on somewhere in there. We have $50 and then after that, so we got to subtract $50 from whatever you make. And we see no subtraction, in this equation anywhere. So choice H is already out. And this says $15, not 0.15, so that's already out. So now we have 2 choices. The biggest trick I think I noticed with this was choice F. You have 50 songs and 15 cents per song, which is a great deal, I guess, a great deal, I suppose. However, your answer, you can't have songs and money mixed together. You have to have just one unit. So choice G is the correct solution because you have the $50 that you start off with for the fee per month, plus the 15 cents per song, or per minute used. So for this cell phone deal, choice G was the correct one that matches this equation. For our third problem here, Jackie has $100 to spend on music downloads. All the downloads are selling at a price of $11.50 each, including tax. If X represents the number of downloads Jackie purchases and F of X represents the dollar amount she was left, which of the following functions best represents the situation? We're starting off with $100. That's what Jackie has. So she's not going to be gaining any more money. So $100 is a starting point and it's not negotiable. It is the beginning. So 100 is here by itself. And it's not anywhere else. It's not even in choice D. It's not considered there. Here, it's mixed with the variable. We're not getting $100 or spending $100 each or per anything. So these choices are already out. Now we have $100, and we are spending or subtracting $11.50 per or each, like it says right here, per download. So choice A is the correct solution there. For number 4. Ben works at a shoe store. The equation y equals 15x plus 60 represents his daily earnings y. Based on selling x pairs of shoes, what is represented by the slope in this equation? So this is how much money he makes. These are how many shoes he sells per day. So the slope in this case, the 15 right there next to the x, tells us how much that the people are spending per pair of shoes. This says for choice F, the total pairs of shoes sales. A total would be somewhere, would be something that's undetermined. We don't know what it is. So it couldn't be 15 automatically. That's not guaranteed. So we take out choice F. G is the total amount he makes each day. Well, hopefully he makes more than $15 each day. Otherwise, he may want to find a better job. But then and that still wouldn't explain what this plus 60 is. H is the amount of money Ben earns for each pair of shoes he sells. That seems logical. Let's check the last one just to verify. The amount of money Ben earns if he does not sell any shoes. Well, if this is 0, he sells no shoes, 0 times 15 would be 0, but he would still have $60. So no, our best choice is going to be choice H right there. The amount of money Ben earns for each pair of shoes he sells, $15 for each pair, plus the $60 he gets just for showing up to work. Not a bad deal, I suppose. Number 5, the distance in miles y a rower in a canoe is from the dock after rowing x hours is represented by this equation. Y equals 5x plus 11. What does the y-intercept in this situation? The y-intercept in any situation always represents where you are in the very beginning, or in other words, when x equals 0. Plus, since this whole equation is about distance, this y-intercept has to be related to distance, not speed, as the other traces all indicate. So choice C is the solution for number 5. For number 6, Ms. Diaz bought 25 gallons of cranberry juice for the juice machine at her office. The graph below shows how much juice was left over time. So she had 25 gallons, which is right here at the starting point. Obviously, since we're drinking it, and you can't just drink increments, you have to drink continuously. It's continuous all the way down until we get to no more gallons left. On the bottom, it's kind of difficult to read, but we did clarify in class that it's counting by days, by 2 at a time. So we have 2, 4, 6, and 8, and then 10 days. So they want to know what is a reasonable domain. Domain measures your x value. So right now we know we have to have a choice with an x in it. That takes away g and j. Now, domain measures the width of your graph, from the furthest to the left, or the least amount, to the greatest amount. The least amount is 0, and the greatest amount is 10, from beginning to end. We see that in both our answers. However, the determination now is in the endpoints. We have solid endpoints at the end, which means that it does exist there. So it's going to be equal to as well at those points. So choice H is our correct solution there. Turning our paper over, we now have number 7. Mike made a table showing the amount of money he earned, Y, based on the number of cupcakes he sold at the bake sale. So we're going to assume in this column that since they don't tell us that he spent any money, so we're going to, maybe he got all the ingredients for free, so he gets to straight up just make all profit from the cupcakes. So he starts off with no extra money, and let's just look for a relationship then. For 3 cupcakes, he makes $9, 6, 18, 7, 21, 10, 30. The pattern becomes apparent that we're multiplying everything times 3. So I'm going to have a multiplication of 3 somewhere in here, and the only choice that gives me that is choice C right there. Pretty basic, simple one. For number 8, the total amount C charged by a stable for keeping H horses for 1 month is given by the equation C equals 200 plus 40H. In this linear equation, what is the best interpretation of the y-intercept? So we're talking about cost, and like I said before, the y-intercept is always telling you where you're at in the beginning. So in this case, the $200 is what you pay for just having the horses in the stable. In this case, what we call a flat fee. It's not the total, because that would be what the C is equal to. It's not the number of months, because that's not even represented in this equation. And the number of horses kept is the letter H. It even tells us in the equation, H horses. The y-intercept is always the number that's by itself without a variable. On to number 9. Which situation is best modeled by the graph below? So in case you can't see it, we begin at 6, go down to 0 in the time of 0, 1, 2, 3 time increments. We need to figure out which scenario is best represented by this graph. So if I begin at 6 and over 3 time units, that's a change of 2 units per time unit. So let's see which story best represents that. An eagle's nest contains 6 eggs. Every 2 days, 3 of the eggs hatch. So if I go every 2 days,